Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to the Confidence Igniter podcast. And I'm your host. My name is Tamiko Green, author, coach, minister, international speaker, and your bold reminder that confidence isn't optional, it is essential. Well, today's episode is titled Believe in Yourself Changes Everything. I'm going to say that again. Believe in yourself changes everything. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever been in a situation where you were working on something and then you thought to yourself, man, I must be doing this wrong because it wasn't coming out the way that you thought it would come out? Have you ever been in a situation where you got so deep into something that you were working on and you decided to throw in the towel because it wasn't coming out the way that you thought it was? At least that's the way it seemed. Hmm. Well, what do you think it would be like today if Thomas Edison had a did that? He was the one that invented the light bulb. And, some people say that it was 909, it was actually 1,000 failures. And then some say 10,000 failures, but he never looked at it as a failure. He looked at it as an opportunity to be able to learn something new or learn that, that way didn't work. But here's the thing, he said it was an invention of 10,000 steps. But sometimes in life, when we're working on things and they don't come out the way that we planned it, a lot of times we'll throw in the towel. And it's not just only with our goals or our dreams. Sometimes it's as simple as traveling on a vacation. And you're probably saying to yourself, now, why would she say traveling on a vacation? Because let me tell you, recently, actually last week, I left town and I went to the state of Illinois, Naperville, Illinois, to go see my daughter and my grandchildren. On my way there, I know the route. The route is I-75 North to 24 West and 24 West all the way to um, I-65 North and 94 to 94. So I know the route and a couple of other highways in order to get to Naperville, Illinois. But on the way back, I had to take a different route because I had to go and drop my grandson off in Iowa. Well, here's the thing. I've never traveled that road before. And here's the interesting thing about sometimes in life when we are on unfamiliar roads, either we're okay with it or we start to doubt ourselves. We start to say like, I'm doing this right. Should I even be on this road? Or maybe God is telling me no. And I was there. I was at that point because leaving to come back to Georgia, it took me on I-74. Now I was happy, I was excited. And even the friend that traveled with me, I was like, look, I've never been on I-74 before. So this is going to be a really cool trip. And I'm so excited. And the road was just beautiful. And I'm a nature girl. I love nature. So I'm like, oh my goodness, this is beautiful. But as we continued to travel, once we got back into Illinois, which was like maybe about 15, 20 minutes. So I'm thinking, okay, I know the route. Okay, I don't know this route, but I know it's going to eventually take me back through Indianapolis. And then it's only going to take me maybe an hour and a half to get to Louisville, Kentucky. And then another 2 hours and maybe 15 minutes to get to Nashville. So I'm counting it down in my head. But that's not how it went. I guess we started out at the top of Illinois. And so after traveling for about 4 hours, I was like, man, this is a long ride. And we're still in Illinois. And it's like, you still in Illinois? Yeah. Every time everybody would call me, where you at? Still in Illinois. Really? Like you still in Illinois? Yes, I'm still in Illinois. So I got to the point that I was like, man, well, maybe I put the wrong address in. That's what some of us do. When things are not turning out right, we start doubting ourselves. And it's not about the person that you know down you or somebody else down you, because we don't look at, tend to stop when we doubt ourselves. So we on this highway 57, and I'm like, well, man, can you do me a favor? Can you Google to see how big is Illinois? Now she's looking at me like, Google to see how big Illinois, what does that have to do with this trip? So she was like, well, it says it's like 57,000 plus square miles. I was like, well, man, I know I had to drive about 50,000 square miles. Like I should be out of the state by now, but I'm still in it. So then I started questioning the GPS. You know how we do. We'll ask somebody to help us do something. But because we're not in our comfort zone. We done been taken out of the comfort zone. So now we're like, oh, man, we not only doubting ourselves, we're doubting this person. So who was I doubting? I was doubting the GPS system because I'm like, wait a minute. I know how to get to Illinois from Georgia, but I did not know how to get back home. So I had to depend on her. But then I ended up cutting her off. I was like, wait a minute. Maybe I put the wrong address. I started looking at my friend. I'm like, hey, did I put the right address in? She said, yeah, you put my address in. I was like, no, I'm going to cut this GPS off. I'm like, you know what? Stop navigation. And so I was like, give it a minute. Sometimes things gotta reset itself. So I'm like, okay, well, let me start this this system back up. So I'm like, hey, forget about taking her home. Let's just go to my home address because I know you know how to get where I live. I mean, you traveled the route before, so I know you know. So I put that in the system. It calculates it and give me the same route we on. I was like, man. Now I'm feeling some kind of way. I'm doubting this whole ride. I'm like, man, totally out of my comfort zone. But that's how it is in life, right? We be working on something, and because it is not happening the way we know, like these steps are not adding up, right? This route is not adding up. So we do that in life instead of just, looking at it as, you know what? I am going the right way. It's just not a way that I've ever been. We do that when we're working on our goals and our dreams, right? Because sometimes we travel on unfamiliar territory, and that's not the time to get doubt in you. Like for me, I was just like, man, I'm just never going to do this no more. And then a bell rung and said, well, what you really should have did was you should have looked at the entire map. Because in this case, you had the ability to look at the entire map to see like where you will start in Illinois versus where you will end up turning off onto a different highway in order to get to Kentucky, because you bypass Indianapolis, you bypass Indiana, period, to get to Kentucky and then Tennessee and then Georgia. But I didn't. And so why am I telling you this? Because a lot of times we forget a step. And when we forget a step, when we forget to do something, then a lot of times those things that we're working on, they don't come out right. Or it's taking us longer to get it done. But even if I had looked at the entire map, what I would have found out is you're starting at the top of Illinois. You got to drive all the way down close to the end. You're going to turn off just before you get to Cairo, Illinois. And then you're going to go over to Kentucky. If I had only known, the ride would have been so much better, because soon as I got onto 24, it say, okay, now you're turning off on 24 going to Nashville. Now we're excited. But we had been traveling since 5:30 in the morning. I didn't get home until like 11:30 yesterday night. So I was tired. But by the time I got on 24, I was like, GPS, you know what? I don't really need you no more. You know how we do, folks. They get us to where we going halfway. It becomes familiar to us. And then we be like, nah, I'm good. So I cut the GPS off. That really wasn't smart, because if I had ran into traffic, it probably would have mapped me or recalculated the steps in order for me to get home or bypass the traffic. But however, I was back in my comfort zone. So it was okay to believe in myself at that point. But let me tell you something, belief is everything, because if I had a believed while I was on that road, guess what? The trip still would have been just as fun when we had first started out on I-74, because I-74 is so beautiful. Like the trees, the highway is just clean, and like, I'm not saying I-75 or 65 is dirty, but I'm just saying I'm a nature girl. So just seeing all of the beauty that God has created, it was just wowing me. But because it was taking so long, the wow turned into frustration. And so I want you to know that when you're working on something in life, all roles are not going to be roles that you are used to. Even if it's a road that you start off on when you're working on your goals and dreams, a detour come up. Because let me tell you something, I had several detours, okay? Because the roads were closed. So we had to detour. So in life, you're going to get to a point when you're working on yourself, when you're working on your goals, working on your dreams, even on your job, even in a relationship, there may be a little detour. You might have to pivot a little bit, but don't allow yourself to get bent out of shape on the pivot. Okay. See, I don't mind being upfront and honest. I am human too, just like everybody else. So somebody might be like, the confidence igniter actually let that highway do that to her, because I wasn't used to it, right? But it's also about, sometimes your comfort zone can mess you up. Okay. Or being so familiar with things, being so familiar can actually, really put you in a bad spot, because I was so familiar with the roles. So don't get so familiar with things that you can't pivot if needed. When you're working on whatever, that you can't pivot, that you can't say, you know what, I need to recalculate. Or with me, I needed to reset. I needed to trust that process, and I needed to stop looking at the very thing that's helping me. Okay. It's running on satellite. So truly this GPS know how to get me home, right? But I'm sitting here like fighting with the GPS, like, girl, are you sure you know where you going? And of course, if the GPS could have talked back, it would have been like, really? Well, if you didn't believe in me, why did you ask me? Why did you even put your address in me if you didn't even believe that I could do what I said I could do? But I'm going to make that personal to each and every one of you that's listening to this. If you don't believe that you can do what you originally said you can do, if you don't believe that that dream that you had, you can make it a reality, come on now. Why are you working on it? You're working on it because you believe that there's a possibility that things could change. You believe that there's just a slight possibility that whatever that goal is, that whatever that dream is, that whatever that relationship is, that you can build that thing out. Because believing in yourself changes the game. And truly, when I got home, I had a long conversation with myself. I had to do some self therapy, because I had to remind myself, girl, come on now. Why did you put yourself through all of that? And you still made it home. You got your friend home, you dropped her off, and you still made it home, and you went through all of that. I would never do this again. I would not. You know how we do it. Come on, keep it real. Like my mother used to always say, shame the devil and tell the truth. So I'm going to shame the devil and I'm going to tell the truth. Yes, I was out there. I'm not going to make up no excuses. I'm not going to say I was tired, but I was tired, because I started out at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I was tired. I didn't get home until almost 12 o'clock, midnight. Whereas normally I take that drive. I can go from Atlanta to Illinois in, well, I can get there maybe in 9.5 hours. But you know what? When I'm not speeding and doing the right thing, which I do now, I normally get there in about 10.5 hours, 10 to 10.5 hours. But because, once again, in life, we're not going to always travel the same roads in life. See, you might travel road A to get you one place, but you might have to veer off on road B. So all I'm saying to you is that when you're working on yourself, when you're working on your goals, when you're working on your dreams, whatever you are working on, right? Believe in yourself. See, once again, we're quick to look at others that doubt us. We're quick to point the finger and say, you know what? They don't believe in me. They don't believe I can. They don't support me. But let me tell you, you have to first support yourself. You have to first believe in yourself. Because when you believe so strongly in yourself, it doesn't matter what other people think. You'll be like, it's okay. Talk to the hand because this don't understand what a word that you're saying. Because I believe in me. And that's why I had to take a moment out. And I had to tell myself, look, self, we're not going to do that again. We're not, because you take a different road in life, you already know. No roads, all roads in life are not straight. You know that. So why was you going crazy out there on the expressway telling yourself, look, GPS must be wrong. Let's turn the GPS off and let's do it again. The GPS still gave the same exact directions. The GPS was like, At one point, my car said, hey, do you need a cup of coffee? I'm like, what? You asking me, do I need a cup of coffee? No, lady, I just want to get home. Okay, that's all I want to do. I want to get home because I'm sleepy and I'm tired. And I'm still kind of tired, but that's okay. I still had to record this podcast. And no, it's not Sunday. It's not midnight. It's Monday. Yes. So in my book, I'm late, but that's all right. It's still Monday and it's still being recorded, right? So that's the thing. But my message for you today is that believe in yourself. It changes everything. And it doesn't matter if it's a journey from one state to the other. It doesn't matter if it's your business or writing a book or whatever it is. When you believe in yourself, you can go so far in life. Don't listen to, as my brother would say, the okie doke. Don't listen to the negative thinkers, the negative talkers. Don't listen to those that tell you it's impossible. Don't listen to those that try to talk you out of what you're doing. And definitely don't listen to those that cannot be true to themselves and say, hey, I'm human too, like I just did. I'm okay with sharing. Because guess what? Me sharing my journey, my recent journey, might help somebody. Maybe you may not be traveling on the highway, going from one state to the other, trying to get back to home, but maybe you're on a different type of journey. And maybe you needed to hear this. Maybe you needed to know that, you know what? You might not be familiar with that road, but whatever you're working on, trust me, it's going to work. Because anything that we work on and we give our energy to, it works. Good, bad, or indifferent. It works. So keep working and keep believing in yourself. And it's okay that when you get frustrated with yourself, it's okay to give yourself time out. It's okay to talk to that kid in you because it was the kid in me that was having a problem with the journey back. Now, somebody might say, girl, that wasn't no kid in you. That was the adult in you because kids are okay with jumping here and there. Okay, well, if you think it was the adult, whatever it was, I shown love. Had a nice little conversation with it. And guess what? I felt so much better because I had to tell myself, you know what? Believe that it doesn't matter what highway you on. You'll get to where you want to go. And I'm not just talking about a highway where you, with the car, you go somewhere on that highway. I'm talking about any highway that you're traveling on to get to where you want to go, to your destiny, whatever that looks like. Trust yourself. Believe in yourself. Trust the process and know it'll work out for you. It always does when we believe. Well, this has been your Monday motivation as well as the podcast. Yes, yes, yes. Well, I hope you really enjoyed this episode. And also, please do not forget to like and also don't forget to share. And just before I go, I want to remind you of the FCCC, which is Fortified City Christian Church Fall Reset. Yes, it's a fall reset. Yes, yes, yes. Unlocking your potential. So that's going to be on September 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're going to have a good time there. You definitely don't want to miss it. Unlocking your potential, because each and every one of us have potential. And sometimes some of us just need to unlock it. So I really hope to see you in this space. Don't forget, it's September 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Once again, don't forget to share, don't forget to like, and definitely don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, take care. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday.